Welcome to another installment of the Core Podcast series. I'm joined once again by Jerry Powers, and today we have a special guest with us, Bob Stearley. Welcome, Bob.
Thank you very much.
Jerry, why don't you introduce Bob to our viewers?
Well, I've known Bob, a long time now. Since
You had hair.
when I had hair, and it was, I think, 2000 that we met, or 98 maybe even. But Bob is former mayor of Edgewood, and his history includes rocket science with Sandia Labs, who were involved with him for many years. Is that right?
That's right, National Missile Defense.
Yeah.
And part of the reason that we brought Bob in today is that we have an important matter of public business coming here to our local community, which is a special election in August to determine whether or not the town should change their form of local government to the commission manager model. And we've had some public forums where we've presented some information about the differences between the existing form of government and the form of government that we're proposing the people support.
Right. And you were mayor under the mayor council form of government.
Oh, yes.
And what we're concerned about it, we want to hear from you about what it is, why you feel like now is the time for a commission manager in Edgewood.
Well, it's very important because it provides a veto power to the people. So that if the council passes, the council of mayor passes an ordinance or some other type of decision, the citizens have an opportunity within 30 days to get a petition and file it with the town, and that will stop that ordinance from going into effect until such time as a vote is taken by the people. Mm-hmm. So the people can veto the decisions that the council and mayor have made. Mm-hmm. The most important issue to me right now is the purchase of Epcor water, mm-hmm. because the traditions across the country, like in El Dorado and other towns across the country, our water rates are doubled and even more.
Yeah.
And if that happened in Edgewood, it'd be hard to attract new businesses, which what we built the sewer for was to bring businesses. It has brought some businesses. And the other big issue is the extension of the sewer. Mm-hmm. Because the problem is with the sewer, with Edgewood property being an acre or more, we all have septic systems. And when they put a sewer line in front of your property, they're going to require you to sign up, to hook up. Mm-hmm. In fact, they already passed an ordinance to require hookup. They put a moratorium right now, which they can reverse at any time. And when they do, people are going to have to hook up at their own expense. So it'll be thousands of dollars to extend a line from your house to the sewer line. And so the extension of the sewer will go west of 344, just north of the Dairy Queen.
You're talking about the phase 2 part.
Phase 2.
That's been proposed for funding.
Yes, and it's a high priority, mm-hmm. number 2 priority, mm-hmm. behind the sewer improvements.
Yeah.
And so if they pass that, why those people in that neighborhood are going to have to hook up. And the only people in favor of that extension are the mayor and 2 councilors.
Yeah. So
why they want it there, I don't know.
Well, we puzzled over this for a long time, trying to figure out what was going on here, because in his Bassett campaign promises, which was published in the newspaper, and maybe we can put one of those up, he promised to keep the infrastructure where sewer already existed. So then he reversed course and ran this phase 1 sewer, and all that we could see was, since nobody wanted it, they came out in force against the sewer ordinance, is that it ran to his property. And then we found it runs onto his property, off of the public right-of-way, which I've been a utility contractor for many years, and you never do that. And it's up to the individual to pay for it.
Yes, sir.
So in looking at this phase 2 that you're talking about, which is this high priority item now to do it again, yes. It goes to hit the Bassett property on the other side of 344. And I've actually spoken with a lot of people in that Woods End area right there, right next to it. They are absolutely against it.
Well, it costs them money.
Yeah,
it provides them no benefit because their septic systems are working fine.
So as far as we can tell, there's one landowner there that wants it. It's the mayor.
That's right. And one of his rationales for doing this, I believe, is a phrase he used to use, that dilution is the solution.
Mhm.
The dilution being if you get more water, which is less, which is cleaner, cleaner than a restaurant, or why that's a solution. Well, that's not really a solution. They get lots of water from the hotel,
Yeah.
more than they really can handle right now.
Mhm.
But it can flood the sewer. But anyway, that was his expression. Dilution is a solution. So I guess that's why they want this extension to where, and the hookups that people would have to hook up and pay for, the revenue you'd get from those people who were forced to hook up will never pay for the cost of the extension of that sewer. Never.
So the people don't want it. It costs them a lot of money if they had to hook up. It won't pay for itself even if they do
Never.
hook up.
Never.
And the other thing we discovered, and we examined that whole thing about dilution is the solution, and what we found is the sewer plant is right at capacity and it's operating at sometimes up to 1,100 times the fecal coliform limits. So you're going to put more input into a sewer that's not functioning properly as it is and drown it some more.
That's right.
So flood it.
That's right, and it has been flooded. So I really encourage voters to vote for the commission manager form of government. It's the only way for the public, for you to be able to stop these decisions made by the mayor and two councilors who vote with him.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that is very important to us is transparency. And we've certainly had major objections with the town about how they disseminate information, which is basically no dissemination, withhold everything and make the people guess about what's going on. But at the same time, we would also hope that the town would make good decisions based on the analysis of information available to them so that they can make informed choices about what's best for this local community. I know we were talking earlier, Bob, and you had mentioned an example about a windmill project where you had done the math, calculated the figures, and even though that there were grants available from the federal government, that the math ultimately didn't work out. Can you describe that a little bit?
Oh, yes. The windmill was proposed as a part of I think it was Obama money to stimulate the economy.
Well, this was the wind turbine that they put up at the sewer
Yes,
plant?
so there was money available through the stimulation money from Obama. And so they proposed to get a surplus windmill from California and put new electronics in it to make it operate more efficiently. And so I did the analysis of the wind speeds here and the amount of power it would generate and the amount of revenue, how much it would reduce our electric bill. And if you look at the amount of money it cost, the amount of savings you would get on your electric bill, it would never pay for the construction.
And this is your bailiwick, engineering. I mean, you did the analysis that you would have done just for your work, I'd imagine.
Oh yes, it was engineering to go from wind speed in Edgewood to dollars saved on your electric bill.
Right, right.
So it was a interesting project, but the council didn't care. They were all about the feelings, feel good about having a turbine in Edgewood. And so often politics are just driven by feelings. And that's not the way things should be run. They should be run with an analytical approach. So I wish they would do that.
Well, you know, you were at our first and second legacy meetings, right?
Yes.
And at that first, in fact, all three of the former mayors were there, yourself, Howard Calkins, and Brad Hill.
Yes.
And all three mayors have now come out in favor of our...
Strongly,
of
very
our-
strongly.
So I think that just says a mouthful. I mean, you guys know what it takes to run a town. You know what the problems have been in the past. You know that this form of government will address some of the problems that have happened. Look, just like the wind turbine, people, if they didn't like it, it was a losing proposition, wouldn't do anything for the town. They could have circulated that petition and then had veto power
Yes.
to call that back and veto that action.
They could have done that. So I think it's very important. And the other important thing is that the commissioners will be elected at large,
Yeah.
because we don't have 10,000 people in Edgewood yet.
Yeah, there's some of the mayor's political appointees and even employees have been trying to spread false rumors about negative impacts of this new form of government. The only one they could really find is a made-up one, which is that we'll be required to district. And the statute actually says when you get to 10,000 population, everybody has to district, whether they're mayor, council, or not. And below 10,000, you don't have to under the mayor or commissioner form of government.
That's right. So you still have the same representatives you have today. That is that people can vote at large, just as they are today, so there'll be no change
Mhm.
in your ability to elect your officials.
Whoever you want.
That's right.
Yeah.
So that's a red herring.
But we will gain 3 distinct superpowers, and we haven't specified the difference between them in this conversation, but they are recall, they are referendum, and initiative. The power to remove someone from office, the power to withdraw or rescind legislation that has been passed, and the power to propose new legislation where the town refuses to act.
Yeah, we really haven't talked much about that, but one of the things I like about initiative is you don't recall something back, but what you do is you proactively put in a new resolution or a new ordinance if the people want it. One of the things that we've talked about, and this is just a possibility, but people here have been wanting trails and they want good paved roads. That hasn't happened under this administration. So what they could do is put in a new resolution or ordinance that requires the town to spend a certain percent of its budget each year on new trails, for example.
Well, yeah, what I was most interested in is roads.
Mm-hmm.
Gravel roads require a lot of maintenance.
Mhm.
They're terrible in the wintertime. And so when I was mayor, we built up a war chest of money. We saved a lot while I was mayor.
Mhm.
So when I passed it over to Brad Hill, I handed over a lot of money in the bank
Mhm.
to pave roads.
Yeah.
And sure enough, roads were paved.
And you got some paved during your administration as well, right?
Well, we did. We paved connector roads,
Yeah.
which is most important,
Mhm.
so that people can get around town and out of town if they need to.
Yeah. Well, people have been asking us, how come under the Bassett administration, they've raised gross receipts tax. They also put a mill levy in, 3 mills on property tax. So most people don't know this because the Santa Fe County collects property taxes. And then now they have to collect a higher amount, and then that gets refunded back to Edgewood.
Yes.
So with all of this money in all these raised taxes, how come we're not seeing paved roads when we did under every other administration?
Well, they're paying for that sewer extension, which they already built onto Bassett land. They're paying for bond issues of previous road paving projects.
Mhm.
They're paying a lot of legal fees
Yeah.
for a contractor and lawyers to buy the EPCOR water system. They spent a lot of money on that.
Yeah.
Huge. So if they weren't serious, they wouldn't be doing that. And the engineering report always paints a rosy picture. That's what engineers are capable of doing.
Sure.
They can write a report. I could do it if I wanted to.
Lawyers too.
which say what the customer wants said.
Yeah.
And so sure enough, the report said that they can afford to buy EPCOR. Well, that was done at El Dorado too.
Yeah, we actually went to their website, and El Dorado says, the whole history is there on the website, says that they had anticipated a purchase price of $3 million, and it ended up $13 million. So it was not just double, as in a lot of the case histories, but it was 4 times.
An engineer wrote that report, right?
I'm sure. I'm sure he did.
Well, just like they wrote a report for Edgewood too.
Yeah.
And so the council is going to rely on that report to make their decision.
Yeah, and you know, it's like buying a house. You anticipate a mortgage payment, right? You say, well, my mortgage payment on this $200,000 house will be $1,200 a month. Well, then all of a sudden, the realtor tells you, well, that house is $400,000 now, and you're still on the hook to buy it. Well, now your payments are going to be double. So who does
Yes,
the
sir.
who makes the payments? It's the water users and ratepayers.
Yes, sir. That's what they do, and it's not a good decision for the town to make. So I want the
Yeah.
public to be able to have a veto power.
Yeah.
So important.
Yeah. Well, we worked hard to get it. You know, we circulated the petition, and we took, you were at the meeting in Legacy, and the public was asking, okay, we made them aware of all the things we had become aware, and it took a lot of investigative work. I'm not an investigator, but a lot of the guys that we, in CORE, a lot of people in CORE were working hard to uncover all these facts. When we put that out to the public, they said, what can we do? So there were a couple of things that we came up with, a lawsuit to remove the mayor from office, right, for profiting from public funds. But that's slow and it's expensive and it's hard work, as Adrian can testify. But also, we came up with it, when doing the research, we come across the commission manager form of government. So we decided we would go down both avenues. And now this time is ripe for a commission manager vote. The ballots will be mailed out the first week in August. We'll be receiving them. And then they have to be mailed back in to be received by Santa Fe County on the 24th, and then they'll be counted.
Yeah, I'm surely glad you've done that. It's a wonderful thing that CORE has done, and I approve of it very strongly.
Well, I want to point out that some people, the appointees and employees of the Bassett administration, have been writing letters to the editor. They've been putting us stuff on social media, trying to cast aspersions on who CORE really is. And unlike the people that are political appointees, we have nothing to gain other than it, like every other citizen. I don't want my water bills to go through the roof. I don't like the property tax like they already did on my house. And I know what they're doing with the money, and I don't approve of that. So we, at CORE, we're average citizens. Some of us fortunately have legal skills. I was a contractor, so I know I'm familiar with utilities. Tom McGill does all of our video stuff. But we're average citizens that are concerned about the quality of life in Edgewood. And I realize every time, Bob, they put in a sewer, the planners, whether it's the current ones or the next generation that come in, say, hey, with this sewer, we can put in high density. We can densify the whole town. So then you end up with something like Rio Rancho. And people moved here for a reason, right? They wanted to get out of Albuquerque. They wanted to get out of high density. So I'm concerned about that, and the veto power will allow us to stop that.
The most likely place for the high-density housing to occur is on that land south of Walmart,
Mm-hmm.
between Walmart and the Dairy Queen.
Yeah.
It has sewer now, very ripe for high-density housing. Same thing across the road, if they build that, well, they actually have a pipeline under 344 the Bassett property right now on the corner.
Mm-hmm.
Phase 2 is extended north, further west.
Yeah.
But that's the other location for, be very ripe for high-density housing, and the council, they can make it happen overnight. Overnight.
So when you see
The
what...
only way to stop it is for commission manager from our government. Only way.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, that's the real problem. People have asked us, well, why don't we wait out the election? You know, Bassett will be up for election and his other 2 counselors in 2021. The problem is they've already done $2 million at least worth of damage by building that extension to the Bassett property and onto his property. That $2 million could have gone a long way to help with the sewer plant and really get it functioning. It's been outside of NMED limits for probably 8 months. And some of it they were putting on the road. When the fecal matter was 1,100 times the legal limit, they were putting that on our roads.
People could smell it.
Yeah, we had reports. Tom McGill actually walks that route a lot for his health, and he's the guy who made us aware. He said, something smells bad, and that didn't smell like that before.
No.
So
Yeah.
the town denied it. They hid the reports from us. We finally got them from NMED. I mean, the way this government operates, Bob, they can cover up whatever they're doing, and that's why we need that veto power.
Yes, really do. Now, so I really strongly support it.
Well, we appreciate your giving us your opinion and why it is that you support what it is we're doing. I know you've got a long history both with science, engineering, and with municipal government. So your opinion means a lot, and really appreciate you sharing with us.
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity. I hope it makes a difference.
This has been another Core podcast brought to you by Adrian Terry and Jerry Powers, joined once again by Bob Stearley, former mayor, town of Edgewood. Thank you, sir. Citizens for an open and responsible Edgewood, bringing you the information that you need to know. Stay tuned. We'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.